So this week, as I was scrolling through Twitter, as I often do, I saw a question from one of my friends. This friend, met him in college and we hung out quite a bit. We spent a lot of time together. He didn't ask this question to me in particular, but spurred on creativity the way that scrolling through social media often does for me. And so I decided to answer it here. Tim asked how to deal with positive feedback and positive critique. And I think that's an interesting thing. And he's right. We don't talk about it all that often. We talk about how to deal with negative feedback and negative critique, but we don't often talk about how do you not get a big head when someone says, I love your book and I love your writing and I love what you've done here with these characters. And even how do you deal with the excitement of, oh my gosh, a book is coming out and my book is coming out. How do you deal with any of that, right? And I think, I don't know. The answer to this question is I don't know. I can tell you what I've done in the past, how I try to keep myself from just getting really prideful. But this is the constant struggle that anyone faces when it's a question of how do I have a proper respect for the person giving me the positive feedback? How do I properly accept it without getting too caught up in it, without getting egotistical or too prideful or too self-focused, I guess, are the words we're looking at here. And I think it comes with honesty. I think it comes with accepting and being able to say thank you. Learning how to say thank you when you're given a gift of any kind is a huge step in learning how to deal with anything like this. Because it is. That's what the positive feedback and positive critique is. It's a gift. So learning how to say thank you, learning how to be confident enough to say, maybe, I know. I did Mary Kay for a time, and when at a Mary Kay party, one of the most interesting things that we did was we would go around sharing compliments with each other, and you could only say thank you or I know in response. So when someone says, I love how that mascara makes your eyelashes pop, or I love how your eyes sparkle with that eyeshadow, you can either say thank you or I know. And all of the people that I was ever at those parties with, none of them would say I know, which is really sad to me, honestly, because we're talking about physical beauty. It's visible, right? You can look in the mirror and see that your eyes are sparkling. You can look in the mirror and see that this foundation really evened out your skin tone. Whatever, right? But I think we are so conditioned as a society to not accept compliments, or even to say, I know, feels haughty. It feels like we're being a smart aleck. It feels like we're big-headed or prideful, to the point that we don't even know how to say thank you anymore, and we start kind of shying away from the compliment. We start to say, I guess so, I don't know, not really, but look at you, right? We deflect. We turn that positive energy back on someone else so that we don't have to deal with the awkwardness of accepting it. And I think that's dangerous for a writer in the same way that only ever listening to the positive possibilities is dangerous to a writer. Because if all we ever hear and all we ever let people say is, your writing is so good and I can't wait to read more about these characters and I can't wait to see what they do, or in my case, one of my critique members constantly wants to marry one of my protagonists. If that's all we ever listen to, we won't improve as a writer, and we won't be able to handle it when there are people who are like, that's not realistic, or I don't believe that that character should have acted that way, or this is wrong, how can you love this character, or whatever, right? So there has to be a balance in critiques between fanning, like fan freaking out-ing, fanning, and actual helpful, constructive criticism. And as a writer, we have to learn how to say thank you, how to say, okay, how to say, I will handle that and I'll deal with that, and I acknowledge that that didn't make sense to you and that's my fault. I have to fix that because you're the majority of the reader. But at the same time, we also have to be like, yeah, you love my character? I'm so glad. I love my character too. And then you can like fan out over it together, which is super fun. But I think it's that balance between learning how to not deflect compliments and learning how to say thank you when you're given a gift. Learning how to leave it at thank you when your temptation is often, but look at all of these amazing things that you've done too. Unless it is a case of someone bashing themselves to raise you up. We don't want that either. We need to learn how to not bash either of us to raise ourselves up, and just instead constantly raise each other up without having to bring ourselves or other people down. That goes for writing, that goes for reading, that goes for being a fan, that goes for being a critique member. That goes for even accepting gifts at Christmas time. As soon as we stop comparing ourselves to other people and learn to accept the outside critique of, this was really good and I love what you did here, as soon as we can start believing that, we've made progress in knowing how to deal with positive feedback and positive critique. And at the same time, I think there is an aspect of, we have to hold on to those good things because that's what's going to keep us going. But at the same time, we also have to know there will still be people who don't agree. There will still be people who don't appreciate whatever you did in that instance. And I think with that in mind, it is really important to be able to hold it on a level scale. Don't give too much attention to one or the other. Know that both sides exist. And settle into learn how to say thank you, learn how to accept without always having to have something else to say. Thank you, or I don't know. They're both acceptable responses. And our society doesn't often look at it that way. Especially our younger habits are to deflect and self-deprecate in order to bring other people up or convince other people that they're good. And I don't think that should have to be the case. I think we should be able to learn how to believe someone when they say, this was really good. So, all that to say, that was a really good question, Tim. I hope that this helps answer that question, even though I know you didn't ask me in particular. You asked the internet at large. I have nothing else to say on this topic, so I'm going to end this video here. But I love answering questions like this. If you have a question of this nature specifically that you want me to answer and give my thoughts on, please send it to me via Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. I love answering things like this. If you want to have a more personal relationship with me, please go join my Patreon family and be cool, like my patron Nathaniel. He keeps me going during all of this crazy stuff that's happening in the world. He keeps me having the motivation to sit down and create and do the stuff. It means a lot that he is willing to support me in this way. You can learn how to support me too by going to patreon.com/jjhanna. There's all sorts of different ways that you can support me, from $1 a month to $50 a month. It's up to you. As you get into the higher levels, there are other things that you gain as well, other than just the short stories. I also put out a monthly newsletter talking about how to market things, how to grow your platform, different things that I don't talk about anywhere else. So if you want that exclusive info, go join the $20 a month tier or the $50 a month tier, and I will let you go this week. Thanks for joining me. I hope this helped you think through how to accept positive feedback, and until next time, I'll see you then. Bye!